What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Anthony at Million Dollar Investments, back with another video, man. And today we're going to discuss how to be profitable as an option trader. No matter if you're a day trader, swing trader, long-term trader, we're going to discuss how to be profitable. With no further ado, man, all I ask for you guys is leave a like and hit the subscribe button. With no further ado, let's get straight into it. This right here is my list. These are some things that came into my mind, when I thought about making this video. They are in no particular order, and these are not the only ways to become profitable. It might be other ways, these are just some key ways to become profitable. These aren't the only ways. It might be other ways you can add to these to become profitable. With no further ado, just for the sake of this video, let's start at the top of the list, and we're going to reference that as number 1. Also in this video, besides going over this list, I'm going to give you guys a live example as well to go along with it. So please follow along if you don't mind. But yeah, let's get into it. So let's start at the top. Number 1, you want to trade high probability setups. What I mean by high probability setups is if you trade a setup 10 times, 7 times out of 10, that setup is going to win. That's a high probability setup. Some high probability setups include a bull flag, a rising wedge, or falling wedge. If you're following an uptrend, that can be a high probability setup. If you're following a downtrend, that could also be a high probability setup. If you're using certain technical analysis or whatever whatever setup you want to use, if you just trade high probability setups only, you're going to be profitable. If you don't follow the news, or you don't trade stocks because of the hype, if you just stick to strictly good setups, you're in for a good run. And just for the sake of this video, the setup that I'm going to choose to use is I'm going to use an uptrend. The reason I'm going with an uptrend is because most people should know what an uptrend is. If not, if you're a beginner, an uptrend is probably one of the first things you're going to learn about. So yeah, with no further ado, let's go to Google and pull up an uptrend for you guys. I'm going to use this version right here of uptrend. Let's zoom in. And on the left right here, an uptrend is basically when the stock goes up, you go start at the low, and the stock is going to go up and make a higher high. It's going to make a lower low, higher high, lower low, and so on. On the opposite side is a downtrend. It's basically the same, but it's in reverse order. Started the high, it's going to go down and make a lower low. It's going to make a lower high, lower low, lower high, and so on. The stock on the left hand side, we're going to be using uptrend. The stock on the left hand side, which is an uptrend, as you can see, the stock is in the uptrend until the last low is broken. So you see right here, it made a higher low, higher high, higher low. So technically it went back to the top right, and technically we're still in the uptrend. This stock is still in the uptrend until this low is broken. Now it's considered a downtrend once the low is broken. So technically, you can play an uptrend if you can find a stock that's in the uptrend and bet on it that it's going to keep going up. That's a high probability, basically a high probability setup. That's a form you could use that could set up, that can be an easy setup for anybody to use. So with that being said, I have a stock for you guys. I have Marvel, MRVL. As clear as day, the stock is in the uptrend. It's going straight up. Not straight up, but you guys know what I mean. It's going up. Let's put the Safari back up. Google back up on the left. and let's compare. I even draw the uptrend out for you guys. Okay, let's get my brush and let's draw this trend together. As you guys can see, we can start at the low. This stock right here is gonna make a higher high, higher low, 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 higher high, higher low. So technically, until this stock breaks this resistance line right here, which is this last low, you're still in the uptrend. So we could use this to our advantage. So technically, if you wanna trade Marvel, like which I did, is what I'm using it as an example. Let me exit this out. Let's go over to Marvel. So technically, you can use Marvel as a nice setup since it's an uptrend, right? Since we know Marvel in the uptrend, as long as it doesn't break this last low, we're still in the uptrend. As you guys can see, it made a higher low, it made a higher high. It was a wick, but it still was a higher high. Came down, it made a higher low. It did not go below this one. So that's a higher low. So what I did was, Monday, which was yesterday, I got on a call. I put out to my Discord. I was thinking of getting a call on this, and I got into it. And I put it out in the Discord. I got on a call. I'm swinging a call, basically playing it back to the highs. I'm playing a high probability setup. And that's basically the first thing on our list. I just broke it down to you guys as the first thing on our list. With no further ado, let's get into the second thing on our list. You gotta buy time. When you're trading options and you're predicting a stock is gonna go up or down, you can't always want to get a same day or next day contract. That's too risky. Yes, you could win, but you could also lose. You know, if you want to be profitable, put time on your contracts and trade high probability setups. And, you know, most 9 times out of 10, you'll win. Give your setups time to develop, okay, let's go back to the chart and I can explain this a little better, right? If I would have bought in here, technically, was leaving the wick, you can, oh man, this is our higher low. You know what I'm saying? And what if you would have got on a 2-day or a 3-day, expecting it to go back to the top? No, that's not enough time because it still had room to come down to test our last low, Even at our last low right here, it could have procrastinated. It could have, tried to fake you out or whatever. So you want to get enough time on your contracts and give it enough time to make another high. So with our example here, I got an example here for you guys. Right here, this is a screenshot I sent to my contracts of Marvel. Let's pull it up for you guys. I bought these contracts right here. Let me pull up. I bought these contracts right here on June 29th. And basically I got a month on my prediction. I put a month on it. I feel like that's a decent time frame to give me a little bounce off of our zone. And as you guys can see, it costed me $3,000. And so far, we're up 56% already. Break even on this contract is 302. And yeah, that's that. Once again, these contracts expired July 31st, 2026. And we got in at 272. We got 272 calls to go to 302. So, as you guys can see, we played a high probability setup at about 272, 272 to a 302. So about a 302, you know. That's nice. There's a reason I also choose these contracts is because it's a gap right here. Basically you could play it to this gap fill at 308. As you guys can see, that's my target. It could fill that gap, and that gap, it could shoot back down. So that's enough. That's enough. Basically, that's enough time on that setup. And as you guys can see, I made 50% on that so far. No further ado, let's get into the third thing on our list. You got to be disciplined and have patience. Okay, so let me break down being disciplined and having patience. Okay, so when it comes to trade, let's say you got a nice setup and you got time on it. When you're being disciplined and having patience, right, you can't expect this thing to do this in 3 days and you got a month, You gotta have patience. Also, when it comes to being disciplined, let's say, right, since it's in the uptrend, right? If it break this last low, it's no longer an uptrend. You got to sell. You got to call. It's a high probability setup. It's not gonna hit every time, So it could break it, and hey, you just sell. You have to call a loss a loss. You got to manage your loss. That's another thing on our list. You got to risk management. You could win 7 times, but at 3 times you lose. If you lose more than you won, then that's not gonna do you no good. So we can add that to the list. Risk management. Risk management. You gotta learn how to manage your money. We'll get into that later. But yes, so far you want to be disciplined and you want to be patient. If things break, you want to sell. It's part of the game. Everything is not going to go your way all the time. You got to be disciplined on your setup and sell and have patience, and also just give it patience to develop. On to the next thing on our list. You're going to take your profits. Be sure to lock in your profits. Don't be that guy. I used to be that guy. Do not be that guy to call this play and say, hey, man, Marvin's going to do this, and they do it, and you got a screenshot to show for it, but guess what? You did not take profits. You know what I'm saying? Let's say, right, it go here, and you got $10,000, Let's say you had $10,000 here, but you being greedy, you thinking it's gonna go here, and let's say go make a new higher right here. You're like, man, they gonna go $2 more. You gotta go a little higher, yada yada yada. You know what I'm saying? And then it don't go higher, and then it start coming down. Let's say you had 100% here. And then right here, you got 80%. You're like, nah, I'm not taking 80%. I had 100%. 80% is better than nothing. Take your profits. You know what I'm saying? Don't be greedy. Be disciplined. Take your profits. You know what I'm saying? 80% is better than nothing. Let's say if you put your money in the bank, right? Let's use this contract as an example. Let's say I got $3,000, right? Let's say this is like the bank. I put $3,000 in the bank in the savings account, right? And so far, in 2 days, I got a 56% return on my money. That's better than any bank. That's better than anything. That's the point of this channel, is to get you guys to invest your own money so you guys can see a return on your money just like the bank. You're your own bank. You see what I'm saying? That's the point of this, man. You want to be your own bank. You know what I'm saying? You want to invest your own money. That's why I'm starting this channel to, help people be their own bank, invest your own money. It don't take that long to see a return on your money, and we're doing it safely. But yeah, on to the next thing, man. Take them profits. And then the last thing is risk management. Basically with risk management, man. For example, let's say right, if 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 I got five, let's say if I got $3,000, right? Let's use this live since we got a live example. Let's say since I got $3,000, right? Let's say if I turn $3,000 into 4,700, right? That's just one time. I traded a high probability setup, right? So let's say if I play this setup 7 more times, that'll make it 8 times, and I hit all those times, right? So every time I hit, let's say I totaled up, and now I got 30,000, right? So let's say on the 9th time, I trade a high probability setup, and it don't go my way, and let's say I trade with my whole 30,000, and I lose. Let's say let's just say I trade with the whole 30,000, right? And this stock breaks here, right? And I'm not disciplined, and I don't sell. I hold it. Man, it gotta come back. It gotta come back. You just thinking you know everything, and you're not being disciplined, and you lose your money. You know what I'm saying? You back down to 5,000. You're basically working backwards. It'll be best. You know what I'm saying? If let's say if you do, even though you're not supposed to, let's say you do trade with your whole portfolio 30,000, right? And it breaks here, and you take a $5,000 loss one time. You know what I'm saying? That's still better than, that's still better because you was disciplined. You know what I'm saying? If you is gonna build with your whole portfolio, follow the rules and be disciplined. Take your sale. I don't know how to explain it. I don't really know how to explain it. You guys should catch on to what I'm saying. First of all, part of risk management is you shouldn't use, let's say right now, if all I had on my account was $3,000, you shouldn't use the whole $3,000. You should only use the correct portion, I think, is you want to put 25% of your portfolio on one trade. So if I got $10,000, I only want to use 2,500 on one trade. I think that's the correct number, trading by the book. It ain't, I ain't got it on the top of my head. You don't just want to put 10,000 on one trade and then that one trade don't go your way. Now you lost all your money. It's bad risk management. That's what I was looking for. It's bad risk management. You can hit 9 times and I got 100,000. But if you got bad risk management and on the 10th time you bet that 100,000, you lose it all, then so what? You're a horrible trader. You're not going to be profitable. So that's another thing about it. And yeah, that's that. No further ado, man, and just for the record, man, right here on my Discord, as you guys can see, man. And as you guys can see, man, right here in my Discord, man, I just want to call out, man, what I call this Marvel play. Right here, yesterday, I told you guys on one line yesterday. I said thinking of swinging Marvel. I didn't get in exactly down here. I waited. I had patience. I wanted confirmation. I seen it was rejected and it left its long wick, and I actually got in right here. I was thinking of this. I drew out my position and everything, and hey, I sent it in the Discord. When I sent it in the Discord, I sent out, there's another play right there. I sent out intel. That's some, that's something else. But so I said thinking of getting into it, right? And after thinking of getting into it, I actually said I'm in a Marvel call, July, expiration date July 31st. And I said, sit up here. So basically, I responded to the image, basically saying this is set up. I'm in. Bing, bing, bing. And then, as you guys can see, this morning I put Marvel is up 33%. Intel went as well. You know what I'm saying? Right here, I was watching Marvel at this level. If it didn't break, I was looking for a rejection or something. Basically looking for a rejection or possibly to sell and take my 33% profit. But it actually went above it, as you guys can see, and now we're sitting at 56%. So now, in all honesty, my stop loss, if this stop goes back below this resistance level right here, I'm selling. If you catch my drift. And my next target, basically my next target was here. Now that they broke this, then now when they break this, my next target is here and my stop is here. You see what I'm saying? Or actually this gap fill, it's a gap right here. So, on a smaller time frame, that'll be for another video. You know what I'm saying? Just join the Discord. You know what I'm saying, for the interest X's and things like that. But yeah, man. Just let me know in the comments how I did. If I was bad at explaining this, man, just let me know. Trying to come at you guys with more videos and things like that. I'm only gonna get better at explaining things, but yeah, just let me know how I did. Hit the like button, subscribe, and yeah, let's keep at it. Peace.